When Mother's Day doesn't bring joy, but instead results in heartache, loss of a mother or a child, the sting of an estranged or evaporated relationship with mom, childless and not by choice. If you identify with any of these topics, today's conversation is for you. Welcome to Only for the Others, hosted by me, Tiffany. Here, I hold space for you, honor you, and create a situation and an environment where you can begin the process of healing. Whether you have lost a child or lost your mom, today in America, we're celebrating Mother's Day. And when the whole world seems to be in a celebratory place, either from remembering, honoring, it can feel very lonely if that's not your story. There are some people who never had a mom. They've never known their biological mom, and they may have never been mothered. Today, it can be a hard day. And I want you to know that you are not alone. You're not the only person. You may be the only person you know. You may be one of the few people that you know who is actually having a hard day, but you are not alone. I want you to be able to put in the comments if you have lost your mom, if you have lost your child, and just give me a little indication of what today is like and how long has it been. Do you find that over time it gets a little easier? I would say it probably doesn't. I don't think it gets easier dealing with loss. I think we learn how to cope and manage with the feelings that we have. But you are not alone. Whether you've lost a child that you had an experience with in this life and you were able to parent for a period of time, or you lost a child from a stillborn or a miscarriage, it's still a loss. And days like today can be very difficult. If you've lost a parent and you've had the opportunity to have a magnificent relationship with that parent and they're not here today, it is definitely something that can be difficult. If you lost a parent and you had a horrible relationship, it still can be difficult, right? We often think that we miss those things that were good, but sometimes the finality of something that never will be is just as hard or it's equally as difficult. So know that you have a right to your feelings. You have a right to feel sad. You have a right to feel cheated and jaded. You have a right to those feelings. Don't ignore those feelings. Don't ignore how you feel. If you feel like you don't want to get out of bed, if you feel angry because you're watching people be happy and you have grief, that is okay. Honor the space you're in. Honor how you feel. We often don't think about those of us or people who are estranged from their parent, whether it's a toxic situation and they had to walk away or create a certain amount of distance, or it's a situation where the whole relationship has just been eliminated. And, we often think about toxicity from the perspective of, oh, I had to leave that person alone. And sometimes that's the case. And sometimes you're the toxic person and people had to leave you alone. And regardless to which situation is yours, it still hurts. You have to be honest with yourself sometimes. If you felt strong enough to leave a relationship that was toxic and hurtful, and you did all the things you needed to do, you may have created a happy life and be a very successful and warm and loving mother yourself, but you had to walk away from that person that was toxic. It is difficult. That is the first heartbeat you knew. That is the first person with whom you shared energy and space. So to walk away from that voluntarily is a difficult thing. And days like today on Mother's Day can be very, very difficult for many. So if you fall in that category, know that you're not alone. If you were left, abandoned, or the person that your parent walked away from but because perhaps you were toxic, right? Perhaps you did something that your parent would think is unfathomable. right? There's something people don't think that parents can ever walk away from their kids. We like to believe and hear these stories, and maybe most of us have people in our lives that, parents are forever. They'll come and get their kids out the crack spot. It doesn't matter how many times their kids go to jail. It doesn't matter what they do. They will love their children from hell and back. And if that is your story, groovy, great. You are in a unique situation. But there are tons of people who that is not their reality, and you have committed some type of offense or done something that has resulted in your parent or your family, but in this situation, we're talking about your mother, to walk away from you. And today is a difficult day. It's a day where you have to sit with yourself and you have to sit with what you did, with what behavior you exhibited, or what caused the break to occur, especially if that break occurred and it wasn't voluntarily, it was something that happened by virtue of your behavior. And sometimes you've changed the behavior, right? You're no longer that person. You've moved on, you've healed, you've created this wonderful life for yourself, and the person who you offended still doesn't want to have anything to do with you. And you have to sit with and accept that that's their prerogative. You don't get to offend and hurt people and think that because you've done all this work to heal yourself, that people are supposed to now move into the space of forgiveness. And even if they do, forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be in relationship with you. Forgiveness just means that they've chosen to forgive you and move on. But it doesn't mean that they have to sit in forever with you. But today, on Mother's Day, is a day where that reality can be very, very difficult. If you are childless and not by choice. Now, I'm not talking to all the people who've made a very deliberate decision in their life not to be parents, not to parent. That's your choice. And this conversation is not directed towards you. But for all of the women who would have loved nothing more than to be a parent, for all of the women who thought they had time and time ran out, for all of the women who tried to do the right thing, get their education, meet a stand up guy, and it didn't work out, for all of the women who went through round after round after round after round of IVF and it failed. They spent tens of thousands of dollars and it failed. For women who had partners and the person they were partnered with, they were unsuccessful in having a child and that relationship ended and they watched their partner move on and have the happily ever after family with someone else. These are hard things. For the women who are partnered and they're with someone who has stood with them through their infertility, through their challenges, and they want nothing more than to be able to give this wonderful person who loves them dearly and who they love a child, and they cannot. It is hard to be a woman and not be able to do the most natural thing that human beings have been able to do from the beginning of time is difficult. And it likely is something that you live with on a regular basis. You live with it on a day-to-day basis. But when it's Mother's Day and the whole world is saying to every woman, most people, when they see a woman on Mother's Day traveling about, whether they know if you have a child or not, if you're a woman of a certain age, people will likely say Happy Mother's Day. And you have a choice, right? Do you respond and say, I'm not a mother, I don't have kids? Or do you just politely say thank you, right? So just understand you're not alone. Know that there are so many people who are like you. And here at the other Hilton, here at Only for the Others by me, Tiffany, we are creating a safe space. So if you're an outlier and you feel like you don't fit in, you may have every aspect of your life check, 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 check. You have the great job, you have the great body, you have the great, bank account, you have the great credit score, you have the great partner, you have the beautiful face, you have the beautiful everything. Life is great. But there's that one area that you have not been successful in. There's that one thing that you have not been able to succeed at, and it gnaws at your heart, it gnaws at your soul. Here, Only for the Others is where you find community, and where you find a safe space, and where you begin the process of healing. How do you heal? right? We've talked about losing a mother or a child. We've talked about the estrangement, either voluntarily or involuntarily. And we've talked about being childless and not by choice. What does healing look like? The first thing that healing looks like is acknowledgement, acknowledging that you feel away. Avoidance is often a place that people go to when they don't feel that there's a fix, right? There's no way to reconcile what they're dealing with. So they push the feelings away, push the feelings down, and they never deal with how they feel. Whether they push the feelings down by doing things, right? There are those of us that, smoke, we drink, we use sex, we use drugs, we work, we do busy ourselves so that we don't have to recognize just how we feel. So, avoidance is the first thing that you want to take off the table. And the way that you begin to really connect with how you feel is creating space where you can acknowledge your feelings. Have some time where you are not busy doing, where you can just start being, right? We're human beings. You may be spiritual, having a human experience, and yada, yada, I get it. But at this moment, in this realm, right now, if you're hearing me and you're watching this, you are a human being. So, being a being, you have to start being and take a moment from doing. And the way that you do that is to create space where you are still. Start with meditation. And meditation sounds like woo woo meditation if that's not your thing. But I tell you, even starting with something like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, we all have phones or some type of devices. You don't even have to use a clock or a watch, just on your phone. Put a 5 minute timer on and challenge yourself to sit in quiet or stillness. If 5 minutes seems too long, 3 minutes. Just sit. Don't do anything. Don't fiddle. Just try to sit still. And you may not be able to go into a place where your mind is still, but first trying to still your body. Just trying to still your body and quiet yourself down. And you'll see all kind of things will begin to come up. And you'll also see if you try to do that, try something like 7 days. You don't have to even go crazy and try a month to start with, but try 7 whole days, once a day, to put the timer on your phone, on your device, to give yourself 3 to 5 minutes just to be still and quiet. I guarantee once you get to day 7, you'll be able to increase it. And you may even say, you know what? I'm going to try to do this twice a day just to be still and quiet, so you can give your mind a break from the racing. You can give yourself a break from racing the way that you're racing. And you can give yourself an opportunity to feel how you feel. Writing. We all talk about writing, and we text all the time, we type all the time, but there's something that happens with our brain and our heart when we take a minute to write. Either write how we feel, write what we're thinking. You don't even have to write full sentences. You can begin the process of just writing words that indicate I feel right now. It could be angry, frustrated, mad, or joyful, happy, free, whatever they are. But begin the process of connecting how you feel with how you think with how you feel, and writing it down. Once you get into a habit of writing down things, then you can move on to gratitude. Gratitude is a wonderful thing. Even when especially when you're in like the throes of feeling frustrated and stressed out. Right now, you're feeling sad and you're feeling frustrated because you can't celebrate this day like you want to celebrate it. There are still reasons to be grateful. And beginning the avalanche of gratitude from the smallest things. It could be, I'm thankful for my fingertips. I'm thankful for my lips. It can be, I'm thankful that I have a home. I'm thankful for my job. I'm thankful for my car. I'm thankful for all the people who've come in my life that have loved me in spite of da 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 da. Right? We spend so much time focused on loss that we don't spend enough time focused on gratitude. So, just starting right now, for all of you who are in a space that you've lost a mother or a child, you're estranged from your mother, or you're childless and it's not by choice, take a moment and think about the other mothers. Think about the other people who've come in your life in spite of the losses, in spite of those things that aren't there right now, and who have loved you, who have sat with you. It may not be someone even close to you. It could be that time someone said a kind word to you in the grocery store. It could be somebody you work with who always does something. I met someone over 15 years ago at work when I was a very young woman, and she was nice enough. We became kind of buddy buddy a little bit, and then eventually we became friends. But over 15 years, almost every morning, she still sends a morning text. And I am so appreciative that someone has taken the time to, for over a decade, include me in being the recipient of their grace, of their gratitude, of their kindness. And I don't respond even every morning, truthfully. I probably should, but sometimes I don't. And if enough time goes by and I'm going into silent mode, she'll reach out to me and say, hey, sis, you okay? So being in a place of gratitude, being in a place of gratitude, sorry guys, being in a place of gratitude where you are able to acknowledge that while things are not perfect, there are reasons to be thankful. There are reasons to be grateful. There are reasons to acknowledge that you are still here. And while you're here, you still have the ability to create a life that you love. We cannot control what other people do. We can't control how other people feel. If we have been wronged or we have wronged someone, we can't control how they respond to that. We can't control if we've abused our bodies and the result of abusing our bodies, whether it be with sex, whether it be unprotected sex, whether it be, any set of choices we made that have given us results that now impact us in a negative way. We cannot turn back the hands of time as much as we may want to. And we have to live and exist in the choices that we've made. But you still got to give yourself grace. You still have to speak kindly to yourself. You still have to acknowledge that you are a person, you made choices, and you're living and you're growing through the choices that you made. I mentioned the term other mothering because a wonderful, wonderful friend of mine, Dr. A.E. Durbin, introduced the term to me. And it was related to something in school when, like, a kid is away at school and they have all these other adult people who kind of sit in as pseudo mothers. But it's so relevant to other parts of life. You may have had the best parent in the world. I worked with someone who used to say, I was loved as a child, and that's a beautiful thing. But even if you were loved as a child, and even if you had Claire Huxtable as a mom, there are certain things that we need to get from other people. Sometimes you have the best parent in the world, but there are aspects of who that person is and who you are where the two of you may not mesh. And you need another person to help fill the void. That is really why they say it takes a village, right? So there are so many people who are not your biological parent, who are not the people that gave birth to you, but they've sat in the gap with you. They've given you, they've fed you, and not just literally, and maybe they literally fed you, but they metaphorically, they fed your heart, they fed your soul, they poured into you. And pouring into you doesn't mean that someone has to be at your beck and call, but it means that they facilitated a need when it was necessary, right? So, to all of you women out there, whether you're listening to this because you fall in one of the categories that we talked about before, or you are the other mother, right? You are the person that has mothered another or many. You are the person that has sat in the gap. You are the person that has responded to the call. You are the person that leaned in when others didn't, or maybe when others did, but you did the work. I want to say thank you to all of you who perhaps are not thought of. It's Mother's Day, and people are quick to tell you that you're not their mother. Okay, you could have leaned in, you could have done a lot of things for people, but they're quick to remind you that you're not their mom sometimes. But it doesn't change the fact that you leaned in and you provided a service and you did it from your heart. So I want all of you who have stayed this long in the video, I want you to know I appreciate your time. I want you to put in the comments. Let me know if you've experienced loss. Let me know if you are estranged. Let me know if you're childless and not by choice, and how that's felt for you, and if today has been a difficult day. And if you are other mothered, and you've had other people set in the gap, give them a shout out. Put their names down. Say it was Aunt Mary, it was your teacher, Miss Joe, it was whoever it was that stood in the gap and loved you and provided a service and helped you and heard you. Here, you are seen and you are heard. So I want you to subscribe. I'll have more conversations on various topics that are only for the others. Because no matter how great your life is, there's a place and a space where you sit alone and you don't have to. I love you. I thank you for your time. My intention during this conversation was to make sure, in spite of all things, that you feel seen, you feel heard, and you feel safe. And I hope I achieved that for you. Again, welcome to Only for the Others. My name is Tiffany, and I look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day.